and S to express about the masculine power. So remember that this is who? Horus. So who is he? This is what we call it Ra Horach. It's Horus in the shape of the sun. So in another way we can say this is Ra. This is what they call it, the sun god. Look, the same shape like Horus exactly. Maybe yes, the symbol above the head is different, but some people, they don't recognize this. They look to the face. So that story, we call it the creation story of Heliopolis. And again, that word is the Greek name for On city. On is, we can call it Cairo or North Cairo, exactly North Cairo. It could be all Cairo, north and south. On is one of the mystical cities of ancient Egypt, because who will read the Egyptian history will find that there are many names for the Egyptian capitals, like Memphis. But who built Memphis? They will tell you Narmer, who built Memphis. Okay, is there other names? Yes, we have Luxor, we have Tanis, we have, in modern times, we have Alexandria, we have Cairo. So there is history of every capital. But Heliopolis or On, no history. What was the time when On was established? No one knows. Who made it? No one knows. But who lived there? What they used to practice? We have some ideas about it. So that's why some people believe, and we are one of them, that Heliopolis was one of the sites or the cities of the earlier ancient Egypt. So ancient Egypt didn't start 3,500 BC as they claim. Ancient Egypt started much, much older. And it could be cycles of ancient Egypt. And the one we know, the dynastic one, that's why we make sure to call it dynastic Egypt. Because before that, we don't have a label to call them. So we labeled the one we know, dynastic Egypt. So before dynastic Egypt, it could be thousands, tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of years for ancient Egypt. So that is what we call it Heliopolis, story of creation. And as Patricia explained in her lecture, there is another story of creation called Ashmoneen or Hermopolis, about 8 knitters, 4 feminine and 4 masculine, and they get coupled and created the world. I believe that both stories are matching each other, and according to modern science, they fit. Because I believe the other story is talking about the DNA, because it has the reptilians and the cobra's DNA and the frogs, and they are completing the circle of DNA for all the creatures. If you have the cobra DNA and the frog DNA, then the circle will be completed. You don't need other creatures to complete this. And there is one of the movies about the Jurassic Park, when they were missing some of the DNAs, they took it from the frog. I know I'm using sometimes, but this is a scientific fact. Who is he? This is, so we can count 9 gods in this, or 9 knitters in that story, but we still have some questions. Some other knitters are not listed in this story. So here they list what happened. Atum created whom, and then they get coupled, and what happened. So what about Ra, Knom, Betah? Where is their location in the story? So they call them, they were there during the creation. So this is what I was talking about, that there was something before that story. During the noon of the Nun, the primeval water, there was something. There was maybe willing, maybe power. Like this example, Betah, they call him God of wisdom, or sometimes God of creation. And the word Betah, if I follow my new technique in the ancient Egyptian language to replace letters with each other, the word P, or the letter P, can be replaced with F. That's why some of the sources will tell you the word pharaoh, when they say the Egyptian pharaoh, it used, or the origin was from an Egyptian word, ber'a, later became fer'a, and then pharaoh, pharaoh. So bitah, if we change it to fattah, means the opener, the one who started everything. Okay? And using what? The sound, the word. So he's creating by word, the same like the Christian religion, Jewish religion, and the Islamic religion. Khnum, who is Khnum? Also, according to the mythology, he is the one who is creating your ka, the ka. And that is one of the mystical creatures, or the aspect of the body. We know the Egyptian called the body Ret, and the spirit Ba. But there's something else called Ka. So we know the body, we know the spirit. What is the Ka?
Sound. Sound?
Sound? No, it's part of the body, or part of the human.
The heart.
It could be the heart, it could be the consciousness, it could be a middle stage between the spirit and the body. That's why some people call it the etheric body. But what we understand that the ka is very important. And the ka, during the Egyptian didn't believe in death, or didn't believe that death is the end. This is the stage between first life and second life. So they said that the ba will leave the body to the sky and never come back. Will come back later during the second life. But the ka is going to stay all the time with the person, visiting him and making sure that the body is good, needs something. So Khnum is the one who is creating the ka from what? From clay or mud. And his famous shape on a pottery wheel, creating the ka for Ipet-sut, our lovely queen. Let's jump to Luxor. Luxor is one of the very beautiful cities of the south of Egypt. The word Luxor, this is the Arabic modern word, means palaces. When the Arabs invaded Egypt around 642 AD, they went to Luxor and they found hundreds of temples. Unfortunately, we have tens of temples now, not hundreds like before. So the word palace in Arabic language called al-Qasr. Palaces, the plural, means al-Luxor. So mistakenly they named those temples palaces. And who knows, maybe because of the decoration, because 600 AD, a long time ago, and maybe the condition of the sites were much, much better than nowadays. So according to the great condition and the great art and decoration they found, they mistakenly believed that this is where the king used to live. So they call it Luxor. And I believe the English word luxury came from the word Luxor. What about Luxor? Luxor was the capital of Egypt, starting from the Middle Kingdom. So I explained to you that we have 30 dynasties, 3100 BC, and they ruled Egypt during three main eras or kingdoms: Old Kingdom, Middle Kingdom, New Kingdom. And they claim that the Old Kingdom are the pyramid builders, Middle Kingdom were very short, and New Kingdom, the famous names like Hatshepsut, Tutankhamun, Ramses II, those are all from the New Kingdom time. Who built, or according to the writings, who built the famous temples, Karnak, Luxor temple, Hatshepsut temple. So Luxor, we started to know about Luxor from the beginning of the Middle Kingdom. So this is the modern name. What is the ancient name of Luxor? Wasit. That is the ancient name. And there is another name, we're going to see it, but it's always was Wasit. If you also search on the internet about Luxor, it's going to give you another name called Thebes or Thebes. Thebes. And they said that name was originally called Ta Ibit Ipet is the land of the Ipet or Obit festival of Amon. But I'm sure that this is always what the name of Luxor. When we mention Luxor, we must mention Karnak temple. There are many sites in Luxor, and by the way, Luxor contains 1/3, almost 35% of the antiquities of Egypt, no, of the world, in Luxor. And Saqqara contains similar, so Egypt contains like 75% of the antiquities of the world. So Luxor only 1/3. Karnak temple, the word temple is not accurate. We can call it Karnak city, Karnak maybe small country. Karnak is huge. For 15 years I'm visiting Karnak, and I didn't cover 20% in one day. I visited all of it, but during 15 years. But to spend like 4 hours, you will hardly cover like 10% of Karnak temple. And quickly, not 10% perfect. You will not recognize everything. You will be in a hurry. The name of Karnak temple is Ipet-sut. The first 3 symbols to the left, that is Ipet. And that name, we don't know the meaning, so we call it Obit festival or Ipet festival. That is a festival connected with one of the gods. We're going to talk about him soon. And they used to celebrate all the time, but there were 2 main celebrations happening at Karnak temple. And the shape of the chair or the throne to show the power of that Neter or God. And some people, they mistakenly explain it as the temple of the North. So, if this is the temple of the North, is there a temple of the South? That is kind of a plan or like a model for Karnak temple. Look how big is the temple. Can you realize? No? I will show you a scale. Look to the guards. Can you see? Here are the guards. Maybe the picture is not clear, so this one. The last part of the temple inside is from the Middle Kingdom time. That's why people say that yes, who built Karnak temple are the kings of the Middle Kingdom. And if you still remember, I said Luxor became the capital of Egypt during the Middle Kingdom. But the fact is, in the last 10 or 15 years, we found small stones, small evidences, but very solid, that the site is starting from the Old Kingdom time and of course before. But the oldest evidences we have now from the Old Kingdom time, from the 4th dynasty. So the story of being from the Middle Kingdom and that glory happened during the New Kingdom, that is not true. Maybe yes, it was a strong media during the New Kingdom time, but the original structure and maybe the power from the Old Kingdom time. Some of the pillars of Karnak temple, and the pillars are huge. When there is one of the halls, we call it hypostyle hall, it has 134 pillars like this. It's a jungle from stone. And it's like a huge, it's maybe 10 times bigger than the space of the hostel here. The hypostyle hall only. 134 pillars. And the pillar is around maybe from 18 to 20 meters. That is the obelisk. And that is one of the medium-sized obelisks we have. Here it is. So we mentioned that Karnak is Ipet-sut, the temple of the North. North of what? Because when we say the North, we are not talking about far north. No, because we have 2 temples, one in north direction, one in south direction, but actually the distance between them is very short, like 2-3 miles maximum. Okay? So that is what we call it Luxor temple. So they didn't give a unique name to that temple, so they decided to call it Luxor temple. That is the only temple doesn't have a unique name. But the other temples and everywhere else, we have Karnak temple, Hapi temple, Ipet-sut temple, but this one is just called because of the name of the city. But the ancient name is Ipet-sut. And here is our last group, also to show you how is the size of the temple. And the area we are gathering at, actually this is one of the functions of the site. If you look to everybody, they are happy, and I didn't see anybody sad actually between Luxor temple and Karnak temple, and of course all the Egyptian sites, but that area especially, because during ancient Egyptian time, they used to do festivals. And the festival will start from inside Luxor temple, and they go in a special way to Karnak temple, and vice versa, like 6 months later, the celebration will start from Karnak temple, going to Luxor temple, and backwards. So it'll keep happening like this, and to convince people that this is the proper religion. Amon-Ra is the reason that you are happy. Amon-Ra is the one who will make your wishes true. Look, Amon-Ra is giving you all the blessings, all the joy. Okay, so I believe that kind of feeling still exists in the place. So when people go there, they have this kind of having a very nice time. That is the special way. So people don't need to go outside or any side street. They cross from inside the temple, out of the gate, and they keep walking till they find or they reach the gate of Karnak temple. And the same way opposite. Now in Luxor, they are, actually this road wasn't like this in the last 50 years. You can see the location of those people. It was buried from there, and there were hundreds of houses. But 10 years ago, the government started to buy all the houses and destroy it, and they started to excavate the road, and they finished like 90% of it. And we are waiting in any time that they say that we're going to open it. So people will not ride a bus to go to Karnak temple anymore, but they can walk. And as I explained, it's not a long distance. So who is the knitter? Who is the god of all of it? Amon. And when you mention Amon, you must mention Luxor. When you explain Amon, you must explain Amon of Luxor, of Karnak, Amon of Luxor temple. As if Amon without Luxor is nothing. Amon without Karnak is very weak. Amon without Luxor temple has no existence. So we learned that Amon is the god, or Amon is the, or Karnak and Luxor is the center location of Amon. Amon also had a wife or a consort and a son, Mut. So the Patricia shows Mut in a lioness shape, yes, but also Mut was represented in a full woman style. And we will understand why, because you can see the three of them, they had all human shapes. Unlike some other knitters, like a falcon, like the ram, like a jackal, like Anubis. So why the three of them humans, completely humans? Because you can change from human to any other shape. But you cannot change between Anubis and Horus. It will be very difficult. Anubis with the jackal face, and then you say, look, he is with the shape of Horus, the falcon, it doesn't make sense. But when you shape or give any title from any other knitter to Amon, to Mut, to Khonsu, it is accepted. And that is the game was played by the priest, that they started to collect the titles and the powers of the other knitters, and they gave it to Amon. That's why Amon during the New Kingdom time was called what? The god of gods, or the king of gods. He became the mighty one. And all the other gods were like his servants or like secretary or like junior powers, and he is the senior power. And you can see the shape of his son, Khonsu, is almost a copy from Ptah, the one we just saw. Look carefully to the shape. Okay. So they wanted to convince people that by following Amon and his family, you will miss nothing. We have all of them. We have one package, have everything. And here is Amon in Karnak temple. And the king is showing like a great respect to Amon. And according to the name, this is City First, father of Francis II. And where is the name? The name, that broken shape, looks like an oval shape. Here. Can you see it? It's broken. That is what we call it in modern time, the Cartouche. But the ancient Egyptian call it Shen, which means circle. And the Shen will be eternal container, because the circle has no end, no beginning. So it will house the name, but of course the name sometimes is long, so they can make it like an oval shape like this. What is the name of the letter? I told you they must put names. Here is the name of the letter. That is a close picture, and that is his name, Amon-Ra. That is one of the first steps they made, is to connect between Amon and Ra. Amon and the sun. And if we hide the sun, if I put my hand at the solar disk, it means what? Some people say Amon only, but in this case means what? The hidden disk of the sun. The hidden. So imagine this, imagine your hand above the disk, it means Amon, the hidden. Move your hand, means Amon-Ra, the clear one. And that's why we're going to see the two names are repeated in many cases. Whenever they need to show the hidden, or to hide something, not to show, to hide, they put Amon-Ra. Whenever they wanted to talk about Amon only, they delete or they erase Ra. And this is the title here, Neb. He is the Lord of all the lands. That is one of the titles he got from collecting titles from the other leaders. Of course, he has nothing to do with this, to the priest. Okay, let's lay the one.